Are you struggling to finish your book? Are you getting feedback that your manuscript seems to be missing something? You're hearing that it's not detailed enough. It's missing emotion or some stories. And it's generally just not having the reaction that you're anticipating after you put in all of this time and effort. So what's missing? Well, don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt that you have a bad book. What it may be is that you have a blind spot that is based on your thinking style. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about thinking styles and how you can use it to become a better author and increase your book's impact. Be sure to stick around till the end of the episode where we answer a listener-submitted question. This is Your Path to Publish. I'm your host, Zach Christensen. For the past decade, our team has guided authors just like you to find the best path to publish your book, get people excited to buy it even before it launches, and to turn it into the ultimate business card to build your business and your legacy. If you are ready to get your book out of your head and into people's hands, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. When I was in grade school, every teacher I had always had a lot of books around the classroom. And it was fun to go around and find new books, discover new books, and really get lost in the world of those books. Well, one day I discovered the Magic Eye books, and I didn't get it at first. They were just a bunch of weird patterns on a page, and if you looked at it the right way, it was supposed to create some type of 3D image. I had friends that could do it. I had friends that couldn't do it, but I really, really wanted to know what were on those pages. So I remember just staring for a long time at the pages, trying at different angles, angling the book up and down, left, right, and really trying to figure out how can I see what they're seeing. And then one day I saw it. All of a sudden I was able to move my eyes and concentrate enough that it created the 3D image. And to this day, I can still see those images whenever I see a Magic Eye book. It's an optical illusion to an extent, but when I was able to adjust my focus and adjust the way I saw it, it totally changed for me. Today, we're going to talk about thinking preferences. And all of this is based in neuroscience. And it's a fascinating subject. And don't worry if you feel like you're going to go to sleep if you hear about neuroscience. I'm going to do a brief history, and then we're going to jump into what thinking preferences are and how it can impact you as an author, and specifically how knowing your thinking preference can help you bring in what's missing in your manuscript, in your communication, and in the way that you work with others as an author. Are you ready to jump into this? So each of us has a unique way of seeing the world. Our worldview is shaped by our personal philosophies and beliefs and values, the perspectives that we have, the nature-nurture that we receive growing up, our life experiences, the culture that we have within our family, with our identity, and the culture that we grow up in within our neighborhood and schools. It's influenced by our education, our gender, our socioeconomic status. And all of these things influence our thinking preferences, which play a critical role in how we process information, approach tasks, and accomplish our work and how we see the world. Our thinking preferences really play a crucial role in how we process information and approach tasks, including our writing tasks and our work as authors, and how we achieve and accomplish them. Let's take a brief journey through the history of the brain science, and neuroscience. So back over 2,000 years ago, there was Hippocrates, and he added value in the brain science by observing that their brain has a dual nature. And his work really laid the foundation for curiosity and other discoveries. And it's amazing that he was able to start and discover this despite the technology of his time. Now let's fast forward to the 19th century, where Franz Gall introduced the concept of localization of function, which basically means that there's different parts of the brain that handle different tasks. Ones that handle the fear, one that handle the movement, one that handle the hunger cues, and letting you know and working with your body on what you need at that moment. Paul Broca and Carl Wernick really furthered this idea and identified areas of the brain responsible for the language production and how we talk and speak and how we understand and comprehend language. So further expanding on that there's different parts of the brain that do different things and have different roles for us. In the 20th century, Roger Sperry's research on split brain patients highlighted that the brain has lateralization of function, basically meaning that there's a left and right side of the brain, the hemispheres that we have, and that they manage different cognitive tasks. And there's part of the brain that helps communicate between the left and right brain. These discoveries really began to shape our modern understanding of brain function and how it all works. Now we have further technologies such as functional MRI images and PET scans and have really revolutionized our understanding of the brain's plasticity, which is really its ability to adapt and rewire itself. Now, here's where things start to get interesting with bridging the worlds of the physical neuroscience of things and understanding it and bringing it into our cognitive thinking and feeling processes. This started to really become mainstream with Daniel Goleman's work on emotional and social intelligence, and with his work showing that we have cognitive and affective processes, so thinking and feeling processes that are interconnected with each other, and that effective decision-making relies on a balance of both thinking and feeling processes. So understanding these interactions help us know what our thinking preferences are and what's influencing our behaviors and decision-making. How does this apply to me as an author? There are tools out there to help you know what your thinking preferences are. Now, one of the most important things you need to understand is that a thinking preference, you might have something that you default towards, but you can develop a skill in the thinking preferences that aren't as natural to you. So it's different than a personality where your personality tends to be the same over your lifetime, and thinking preferences can shift based on the amount of focus that you give them based on the type of tasks that you are wanting to accomplish. So I'm certified in what's called the Needing Brain Instrument Framework, or for short, the NBI. There are other thinking preference assessments out there, such as the Herman Brain Dominant Instrument, and there's many others out there. But I'm going to focus on the NBI. So this was developed by Dr. Paul Torrance and Dr. Kubius Neething. And Dr. Paul Torrance was a creativity researcher and often thought of as the father of creativity. And Dr. Neething was his postdoctoral student, and together with Dr. Neething leading out, developed this tool that identifies your thinking preferences. And the framework consists of 8 dimensions. To be able to understand what's going on in your brain, breaks it down into 4 quadrants, and each of those quadrants are broken into further details. Now, it's looking at, are you more of a left brain thinker or a right brain thinker? Or do you look at more of what's called oftentimes high road and low road processes? When you take a thinking brain preference, you will see which of the 4 quadrants you have a strength in, what your secondary strength is, and how much you have of the other quadrants. Most people have some in all of the quadrants. There's just some that are more dominant than others. So you may be more of like realistic or analytical, and you're asking about what is going on. You may be more of a strategist or big picture thinker, and you're asking why. Why is this happening? And you're really apt to think about that. You might be more of an empathizer or socializer, and you think about people and the who in what you're doing. Or you might be more of an organizer, thinking about how do we get this done and how do we move forward with this. So for now, that's all I'm going to really cover on the thinking preference instrument. So let's dive into how is this really going to help you as an author? So understanding your thinking preferences can really transform how you approach your writing. So if you're more of a big thinker and a big picture person and you're writing a book, think about who your target audience is, and are they the same as you? Is their thinking preference most likely the same as you, or is it more relationship based, or are they more analytical and process oriented? That doesn't mean if they are that you can't write that way, and that after you write your initial outline in your chapters, you need to go back in and say to yourself, okay, do I have enough how-to and step-by-step? Am I bringing in stats? Am I bringing in case studies? Am I bringing in examples for all of those individuals that focus on that more than just being a big picture thinker? And what you're doing is you're able to mold your book to really resonate with almost any person who's going to be reading it based on their thinking preference, that they're going to have some type of satisfaction based on what you provide. Now, that doesn't mean you need to go through and make sure that's in every single chapter, because if it's not a fit for the content, then it's not a fit for the content. But what this also tells you is how are you going to work with communicating with your target audience and ideal readers outside of the book as well? What are you talking about in your social media, in your newsletters, in the content and articles you're writing? And who is that most resonating with? Now, if you're super targeting individuals who are more process-oriented and how-to, and that's all you want to talk to, then great. Then you can just focus on that. But most books are a little more broad than that, especially in the nonfiction, business, and self-help space. Now, let's talk about working with others. If you're a co-author, or if you have a team or a ghostwriter helping you craft and write your book, it might be a good idea to know what their thinking preferences are. Because if you're all big thinkers, or you're all focused as a high part of your thinking preference on the relationships and storytelling side of things, you may be missing out on what you could also add to the book. So having a balance on your team will bring great value in someone saying, hey, we're missing stories, or we're missing how-tos, we're missing processes, or we're missing kind of the human element of how this will really emotionally land for people. The possibilities how you could apply these thinking preferences to you as an author is just absolutely phenomenal. I'm super excited to start using this more fully with the clients and authors that I work with. So I hope you enjoyed this kind of surface level and slightly deep dive into using neuroscience to make you a better book author. If you're interested in knowing what your thinking preference is, go to our website at juxtabook.com and schedule a consultation with us. Thank you for listening. And in the next episode, I'll be talking about a trend in publishing that I'm really super excited about. It's on the future of book publishing and making more royalties with direct-to-customer sales. And it's becoming more and more easy to accomplish that than you think. If you have a question about a recent episode that you'd like to submit, visit juxtabook.com/your path to publish and click the appropriate button to leave your question.
What are the 3 challenges writers and authors face the most? And what would you suggest that they do in order to break through those challenges?
I guess I would say this is like the $1 million question here of how do authors really get into getting their book done and getting it out there and being successful, at least how I'm interpreting it. But yeah, there's a lot of challenges. I would say that the 3 that have been coming to mind for me when thinking about this question is, the first one is just getting started. The second is identifying their audience for their book. And as an extension of that, I would say their buyer, because that can be 2 different things. And the third is not having a plan. So let's start with getting started. Lots of authors are paralyzed by fear of feeling like, do what I have to put out there, is it good enough? Am I going to be a good enough writer? Can I put something out there that's going to help someone? That's part of it, and a little bit of feeling maybe like an imposter. And then the second side of that is the just getting started, having a perfectionist mindset of whatever you put down on your computer, on paper, or whatever you're doing, that what you're going to be writing needs to be perfect the first time you put it down. So to get over these, one is to just get started with the writing and shelf that perfectionist mindset. I know it can be tough to do. put something out there, write it without going back and reading it until you have all of it out there. And that may be when you're first getting started, that you're just getting your ideas out there on paper. The second one is identifying their audience. Knowing who your target audience is, specifically the challenge that you're overcoming, can solve so many problems. And what I often run into with authors is that they are concerned that they are being too niche, too specific, and that's going to alienate others. For one, I don't think it's going to alienate as many people as you think, because you may state in your book, or you may state when you're marketing your book, who this book is for and the challenges, but you're not going to be able to, but that doesn't mean it won't appeal to others outside of that audience, that they might read your book and pull different gold nuggets that they're going to apply for what they're doing. What having that target audience and specific challenge that you're focusing on does is it gives you clarity and it gives you guardrails to be able to write your book and not be overwhelmed on what I should and shouldn't put in the book, especially as you're getting further and further into the book. And then the third challenge, I would say, and diving into the third challenge, not having a plan. Borrowing from habit 2 from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, is beginning with the end in mind. You need to figure out as an author, what kind of author do you want to be? Do you want to be an author that has a book that helps to grow your business or your consulting? Do you want to be an author who just publishes content and has interesting thoughts and it sparks interesting discussions? What kind of author do you want to be? And based on the type of author that you want to be, you can then identify, well, how do I get there? Where am I at now? And where do I want to go in the future? Thank you for listening. Go out there, dust off your manuscript, and turn it into a bestseller that grows your business.